Okay, fifth graders, so your homework tonight, when it printed off, it printed without lines. So I went ahead and I added lines at each number and then do the same thing for each day of the week. So it'll be a lot easier to make a line graph if we can plot the points exactly on the lines. And then as we talked about in class, it is measured in dozens, so we need to answer these questions down here. We're going to be dividing by 12 quite a bit because we're measuring in dozens. Remember, you always want to label that x-axis and the y-axis. So oops, I did it wrong. The x-axis and the y-axis. If you ever forget, remember y goes to the sky, so x must be going that way. All right, and we have a title. We've got our labels, and we've got our numbers and our days of the week here. How many rolls were sold on Monday and Tuesday? So let's take a look. It looks like 84 was sold on Monday, and on Tuesday 72 were sold. So we probably just want to add those together to solve that one. The next one says, how many more rolls were sold on Wednesday than on Thursday? Wednesday it was 66 rolls. And then on Thursday it was 48, so we're going to do a little subtracting to solve that one. You guys have to actually solve that. Here's where we get into the part for our graph. How many dozen rolls were sold? How many dozen rolls were sold on Monday and Thursday? So on Monday now we need to do some dividing. So we're going to do 84 divided by 12 to find Monday. And I don't know my 12's facts very well, but let's see. I know 12 times 5. Well, 12, 24, 48. Let's try 12 times 6. We'll just do a little side multiplication, see if we get it. That's 72. Maybe we can go higher. 12 times 7. Don't know if I'm even on the screen here. 84. Ooh, that's it exactly. So it must be 7 dozen. So Monday, I'm going to just write this over here for myself so I don't forget. And then the next one, how many dozen were sold on Monday and Thursday? So we'll try 48 next. 48, and we're going to again divide it by 12. We might just know that one. That one will be 4. I know this because 12 times 2 is 24, and you double that and you get the 4. So that will help us plot some points. Now we can answer it. How many dozen rolls were sold on Monday and Thursday? So we need to add up 7 plus 4. And you probably already know that you'll get 11 on that one. And then how many dozen rolls were sold in all? So now we need to solve all of them. Let's try this one. Do a little scratch paper over here. 72, I'm way at the bottom. I'm using some scratch paper at the bottom, or scratch area. 72, and we're going to divide it by 12. Actually, we know that one already because we did it right there. So we know this one must be 6. And then at 66, I have a feeling that's not going to be an even number. Let's try it. I don't know if I'm on here anymore. But I know that times 4 was 48. I might want to try 12 times 5. I believe that's 60 exactly. And I am on the screen. Good. So that's 60 exactly, 12 times 5. And 12 times 6 I did up here, and it was 72, so that was too much. So this had to be 5 and 60. And when I subtract, I have a remainder of 6. So for right now, I'm just going to call it 5 remainder 6. And when I plot it, I'm going to plot it as 5, because I'm just going to say 5 dozen, because I won't be able to get another dozen in there. And then Friday, 54. Did I have one for 54? I didn't. And that's going to be another one that's in between, because I know 48 divided by 12 is 4, and if I do times 5, I get 60. And that's too much, so it's going to be 4 with a remainder. Let's find out. We've got, what was it, 54, and we're going to divide it by 12, and we know that 12 times 4 was 48, because we did it already. that's 7 left, 6. And then I needed to do a little regrouping, so I've got a remainder of 6 for this one. And I know that's the same as 6/12, which is actually the same as 6 1/2. I probably could do that up here. Instead of writing it as a remainder of 6, let's change it to 6/12, because I think that we know that that's actually a half. Now we can solve this. How many dozen were sold in all? So let's add all of these up. In our halves, we can make a whole out of that one. So let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and another 13. So that's 26. I believe that will be 27 if you add them all up, but you can double check on that one. And then I'm just going to leave this blank because I'd like you to double check on that. How many dozen rolls were sold on Friday? Well, on Friday we know it was 54, and we figured out that it was actually 4 6/12, or 4 1/2. But it does say how many dozen. So are we going to count that as a half dozen, or are we going to count it as 4? Because it was really 4 dozen. And then how many rolls were sold on Wednesday? On Wednesday it was that same thing. Do we do 5 1/2 or do we do 5? Because it does say, well, take that back. It says how many rolls were sold. We better interpret or figure it out here. How many rolls were sold on Wednesday? 66 rolls. And we figured out 66 rolls is 5 1/2 dozen. So on this one, I would go with 5 1/2 dozen because it doesn't ask how many. This one was pretty specific. It said how many dozen rolls were sold. This one's not saying it as that. It's just saying how many rolls were sold. And so I would say 5 1/2 dozen for that last one. Oops, I'm off the screen. Sorry about that. Alright, and now we get to plot our points. This is the part I'm more concerned about because this is what's going to be on your test tomorrow. So our first one, we're going to start with Monday. And Monday we had 84 rolls, but we're going to go with the dozen. So we're going to say a dot right here at 7 dozen. And on Tuesday it was 6 dozen. So we're going to go to Tuesday, come right up and plot it right on the point of 6. Wednesday we're going to say 5 1/2. So come up to 5 and go part way in between for 5 1/2. And then Thursday was 4, so come right up to 4, put it right on the lines. And our last one, Friday, was 4 1/2, so we're going to go in between. Now we want to connect our dots. Important to use a straight edge when you're making a line graph. So we'll connect our 2 points and connect another 2. Oops, I went over a little bit. I'll erase that in a second. And then our last one. Alright, all this talk of cinnamon rolls makes me hungry. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for working with me.